Well, my thanks to Israel's ambassador to the United Kingdom. Listening to that was Mustafa Barghouti, Secretary General of the Palestinian National Initiative, who joins me now from the West Bank. Mr. Barghouti, welcome back to you to Uncensored. As you can tell, that was a pretty fractious interview I just conducted with the ambassador to the UK. I did find it utterly staggering that she seemed to rattle off precise numbers of Hamas terrorists who'd been killed, but had absolutely no idea how many children had been killed in the process, and in fact used the word irrelevant at one stage. What is your reaction?
Well, there are many reactions, actually. I happen to hear some of the answers, not all of them. But first of all, which is the most important thing, the policy of ethnic cleansing, which Smotrich is advocating, the finance minister of Israel, not any minister, the minister of finance, this is usually considered the second most important ministry in any government. But it's not just him who's saying these things. It's Netanyahu himself, the prime minister. The prime minister of Israel is on record saying repeatedly that his goal is to push everybody in Gaza to the south in a concentration camp, practically in Rafah area, and then to displace them. And he keeps calling that Trump's vision, the Trump's vision of ethnic cleansing, basically. So it's not Smotrich policy, it's the Israeli government policy. That's one. Second, of course, we know that about 20,000 children have died and have been killed by the Israeli bombardment. And these are not just numbers. I mean, these are names of people. You mentioned the medical doctor, the pediatrician Ala al-Najjar, who lost 9 of her children in an Israeli bombardment. I know another person, Brahim Abu Mahdi, who had 6 of his sons killed. They're not all children, but 6 of his sons who were working in a kitchen preparing food. They were absolutely innocent. The reality is that, unfortunately, so far, 175,000 Palestinians were either killed or injured or imprisoned in this terrible war. And that is about 10% of the population. 10%, apply that to the United States of America, and you will get the number of 33 million Americans killed or injured within the course of 20 months. This is beyond description. By the way, this is much more than even the Second World War, proportionally. Even in France, the number, I think, of those who were killed is less than 6% during the Second World War. So, and even going to the Second World War is by itself a mistake, because how could you compare the situation then with the situation after the Second World War, when we had the United Nations and for the first time international law and international humanitarian law and international criminal court and international court of justice? So it's unacceptable even to compare. Although even if you compare, what Israel has done is much more criminal than what any other government did before. The amount of explosives that were thrown on Gaza since the beginning of this war is no less than 100,000 tons of explosives. That is 50 kilograms of explosives for each man, woman, and child in Gaza. That is more than 5 nuclear bombs, similar to those that were thrown on Hiroshima and Nagasaki during the Second World War. So it is really shocking. And the more important question I would like to answer, because it was asked repeatedly, how can Israel have the security? How Israeli people can be safe? The solution is very simple. It is the solution that Israel has been avoiding for 77 years, which is to accept us, the Palestinian people, as equal human beings, to end their occupation and establish peace. And if they accept two-state solution, they should bring international forces. We don't mind. Let them sit on the border to guarantee the security for both of us. Or if they want one democratic state with equal rights for everybody. But not to accept two-state solution as they do, and not to accept one democratic state, means that their only solution to the fact that we have 7.3 million people in Palestine versus 7.1 Jewish people, their only solution is ethnic cleansing. That is the reality. And the only way out of this situation, the only way out of these vicious circles of wars is to accept Palestinians as equal human beings, accept our right for self-determination. Today, Gideon Sa'ar, the foreign minister of Israel, said openly, publicly, that if the other countries continue to recognize the Palestinian states, he will impose Israeli sovereignty on the West Bank, which means annexation of the occupied Palestinian territories, which is yet another violation of international law.
Let me just ask you one question, which is, if I was an Israeli or a member of that government, I would not countenance for 1 second that anyone from Hamas could form any part of a new government going forward after this war. Do you accept that Hamas can play no part in any government going forward?
You know, surprisingly, it's not me that have to accept that. Hamas accepts that. Hamas told us, I was present in the meeting that took place in Beijing about a year ago, in July last year, when we had a meeting of all the 14 Palestinian parties. Hamas, the leaders of Hamas told us, and they did that repeatedly, more than once, that they are ready not to be in the government of Gaza. They don't want to be in the government of Gaza. And what we reached in the agreement we reached in Beijing was very clear. There will be a national consensus government consisting of independents, and but that are acceptable to different Palestinian political forces. And it would be an interim government till the war ends, until we have the possibility of reconstructing Gaza. So Hamas has told us they don't want to be in the government.
Okay,
obviously,
obviously Hamas is still holding 58 hostages. Why don't they just release them? Why is there not enough pressure from the Palestinian world collectively to compel Hamas just to release the hostages and bring this to an end?
Why
don't they do it? But why don't they do it?
No.
Why don't they just do it?
Give me the chance to answer you. They are ready to release all the Israeli prisoners, and they should be called prisoners of war because they are all soldiers. But nevertheless, call them captives if you want.
They're not all soldiers. They're not all soldiers.
No, the ones that are still in with the Hamas are all soldiers. You can check that. They're all soldiers. All the civilians were released already a long time ago. So they are ready to release these soldiers immediately, of course, in exchange of a number of Palestinian prisoners who are sentenced to life imprisonment, because as I don't know if you know or not, but there is more than 10,000 Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails, including, by the way, 300 children, including, by the way, 3,600 that can be called captives as well, because they are civilians and they are arrested without charges under the so-called administrative detention law, which means they are in jail without knowing why. They could be in jail for years without even their lawyers knowing why they are in jail, and without any legal process or any due legal process. So there is the Hamas position, and the other Palestinian parties' position in Gaza is clear. They are ready to release all Israeli prisoners in exchange of release of some of the Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails and the end of the war. It's very simple.
Okay. Mustafa Barghouti, if only it was simple, but if it was simple, it would have happened. So it's not a simple situation.
No, it's not simple for Netanyahu, of course. Because as you said, Netanyahu doesn't care about the Israeli prisoners, doesn't care about their release. All he cares about is himself, about his continuity as a prime minister. He's afraid of being taken to jail, as you said, or losing any chance of staying in political life. And he is most afraid. The other day, I heard one Israeli defenders of Netanyahu saying that the prime minister is the one responsible for the government policy, and that's why he has the right to appoint the head of Shabak. Well, if he is the one responsible, then why he is escaping the responsibility for what happened on the 7th of October?
Okay. Mustafa Barghouti, always good to have you on the show. Thank you very much.